So what an absorbing match indeed, end to end, absolutely superb stuff, hard paced, very, very energetic from both the sides. And, well, if you were to look at it, India outplayed in the first half, the first two quarters, but coming back strongly, getting the equalizer, getting into the lead, till the Belgians got the terms onto level terms. And I think as far as the overall clinical efficiency is concerned, India would be very happy to finish off with a 2-2 draw and get their 1 point, remaining on top of the pool with a superior goal difference in comparison to the world number 3, the Belgians. And I think full marks to Coach Harinder Singh and his boys, the way they've come up, and happy also for the fact that 2 Indian players are celebrating their birthdays today. And we're talking of Akashdeep Singh and also Chinglensana. So they'll be happier off. They'll sleep well and they'll party tonight. India's next match, of course, is on the 8th against Canada. But I can imagine that they are on the front runners to really make it to the quarterfinal. Munish, it was a story in 2 sections as far as India was concerned.
Absolutely, and I'm actually very delighted with the result, but have been more delighted had India won this game, because that would have settled the score. What Belgium did to India in 2014 at The Hague, India playing at the home ground, they had the advantage. But full marks to the full press game that they played in the third and the fourth quarter. Third quarter, of course, Belgium was nowhere.
I think at half-time, Munish, knowing Harinder, he would have come down with a ton of bricks on those guys. Hey, lads, what the hell do you think you're doing? They were totally outplayed the first 2 quarters. If you look at the ball possession, absolutely, it was 60 plus for the Belgians. Indians were just about 40. And there was a wide gap between the two. Belgium attacking right from the pushback.
Absolutely, and they survived the first 2 penalty corners, the Indian defense. But once again, I was a bit disappointed with the way Srijesh stood there and, you know, getting beaten between the legs. That is one of that small flaw of PR Srijesh that has been exploited by the European teams, I should say. But after that, Srijesh he stood like a wall.
I mean, all the teams have done so much of work nowadays on with the the video recordings as to seeing how the rival goalkeepers are, how do you beat them, and as you rightly pointed out, well, that ball going through the legs of the goalkeeper. It's happened in the past, but they've done that homework, but it's very difficult to slot that ball within that small angle, and we saw Hendricks do that. Let's have a look at the points table in the meanwhile. Group C at the end of the India-Belgium encounter. This is, in fact, as a matter of fact, all the pools. We have Argentina, who played 1 match in that pool. All of them have played 1. So Argentina with that 4-3 win over Spain on top. New Zealand had beaten France by the solitary. And so those are the 2 teams who have the points. Spain and France will have an opportunity when they play their next matches. And then in Pool B, we've got the defending champions 2 times back-to-back. 2010 and 2014, world number 1 Australia. They huffed and puffed in their game against Ireland, but it's 3 points for them. England and China, the surprise package. China making their debut into the World Cup, played England with a 2-2 draw, so they've split points. And Ireland, of course, have yet to open their account. As far as Pool C is concerned, India on top with 4 points, the same number of points as Belgium, but India have a superior goal difference. That is because of the 5-0 in their opener against the Republic of South Africa, whereas Belgium beat Canada by the odd goal in 3, which means that when these 2 teams play their last pool matches, India versus with Canada, India will be in the driver's seat, but the onus will be on Belgium to beat South Africa by a clear margin of 5 goals. Now, that, of course, only time can say. That will be, of course, next Saturday on the 8th of December. As far as Pool D is concerned, the Netherlands have had a very convincing opener against Malaysia by 7-0. So they've got their 3 points. Germany had a tough time against Pakistan, and they got their 3 points by virtue of that 1-0 victory. So that's how these 4 pools have stood. And of course, tomorrow there will be other matches as well. But coming back to the Belgium-India encounter, where I think there was a strategic change at halftime between the Indian think tank, the link man, the birthday boy, as I said earlier, Akashdeep Singh, who was playing in a new role as a withdrawn forward, if you may like to call that one. But he was asked to come up further to propel the Indian attack. And there it is. It paid certain amount of dividends as far as my thought process goes. And that infused the Indian attack more in combination with the attack line of Dilpreet and Simran. The way he scored that goal, it was fantastic.
Absolutely, very rightly said. And they used more, they used Simranjeet more in the third quarter. And the best part was Simranjeet, he's a ball player. But eventually, when the attack is made in the circle, he finds himself placing at the right spots, and that's how the second goal came in. But full marks to the Indian think tank. I think that they went full throttle in the third quarter rather than waiting for the fourth quarter to come in.
They had no choice. Otherwise, the way the Belgians were going, Munish, if there was another goal, if they had a cushioning of 2, it would have been very difficult.
Yeah, but if you see the dimension of the game, it changed for the Indians from the second to the third.
Yes.
It had to be Harendra's experience that
the
came
midfield was more energetic, and man of the match, Varun Kumar, had thwarted so many attacks that came in from the midfield, emerging onto the Indian 23.
And it's good to see once an experienced man like Sardar Singh, he's out of retirement now. I mean, he's retired now. And in the midfield, the youngsters like Varun Kumar, Manpreet comes in. And good to see Hardik Singh also playing only his 8th international for the Indian senior team, holding that midfield and then feeding the ball. That's where the moves come in, And the Indians attacked more from the left flank in the third quarter. That was a good sign.
And talking of defenders, the old war horse, if I like to call him old war horse, Birinder Lakra, the local Odia lad, the way he takes as the second line in defense along with Srijesh right in front of the goal line.
Absolutely.
And, despite the fact there were a lot of question marks about him being not 100% fit, but he looked quite okay, and with it and everything, with his heart and soul, the way he fought and tried to thwart off along with the other defenders. And Harmanpreet, I tell you, also outstanding.
Absolutely. But there is one area of worry, Anupamji, and that is the penalty corner conversion rate of the Indians. If you look at the game, they played against South Africa, 5 penalty corners, just 1 out of 5, none out of 3 today, though they did get a penalty stroke in the end. But then 8 penalty corners, just 1 conversions in 2 games. When they come out and play Canada, they'll need to exploit those situations. And India needs an answer very fast, especially when you have a person like Chris Cirillo, who's one of the who was known as one of the star strikers for the Australian side, the penalty corner converter, I should say. That is where India needs to do well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Chris Cirillo, I remember watching him for the first time in 2005 at Rotterdam in the Junior World Cup. And that is the time he was blossoming, and then he came on to the senior developmental squad of Australia, and then on to being the key striker. And if you remember the last World Cup in 2014, when the Australians whitewashed the hosts, the Netherlands, and Cirillo was the key man. How many goals did he get in that one?
But somebody else has to score now.
Yes,
somebody
absolutely.
else has to utilize his experience.
Yes.
I just hope there isn't any language barrier that's coming in between Chris Cirillo and the Indian strikers. And that is an area where India needs to improve. And also, India needs to, they did well defending today. But I understand it's more of attacking hockey. The modern era of hockey is like you need to attack if you want to become a good defender. But then the midfield was a concern in the first 2 quarters. But the third and the fourth quarter, I think India dominated the midfield, and that is how they pressurized the Belgium side.
Yes, absolutely. Full marks to the Indian think tank for the way they changed plans, shifted gears in the second half, and it paid dividends, taking on to a lead after getting that equalizer from the penalty stroke scored by Harmanpreet Singh off a drag flick which was taken by Varun Kumar. There were two back-to-back ones, and Harmanpreet, of course, was in the dugout at that time. And then when they got that equalizer and the brilliant forays from both the flanks, even though Mandeep was found wanting in a couple of occasions with some unforced errors inside the Belgian striking circle, but I think all of them collectively played well, whether it was Lalit Upadhyay, whether it was Simranjeet Singh, whether it was the young Dilpreet or Neelkant Sharma playing up in the forward line when he started off with Akashdeep Singh in the back, and talking of the number 11 Mandeep Singh. So I thought it was a collective effort, very well orchestrated from the midfield by the Indian captain Manpreet Singh. We had thought that with the absence of Sardar Singh, there possibly, Munish, would be a vacuum which might be difficult to be filled. However, in the last two matches, I mean, I wouldn't count too much into South Africa's game, because Belgium is a different cup of tea. You cannot equate the two teams. And it was a runaway win for the Indians. They could have scored more goals against South Africa, but a convincing one-sided affair. But this is where the Indians will take heart, and let's hope that they can continue with this momentum when they take on Canada on the coming Saturday.
Absolutely. It's World Cup, it's serious games ahead. No team is now considered to be a minnow, be it China in the other pool, or Canada for that matter. And mind you, they gave a tough time to the Australian side. So they come out with a planning. And Canada have beaten India, in the past. So India knows the strength of the Canadian side, and they can't take them lightly.
Yes, absolutely. I can never forget Canada beating India 3-1 in Lahore during the World Cup in 1990. So, and they've beaten them in the past. In the test series we had in, I think, 2009, India, there were 7 test matches in British Vancouver, in British Columbia at Vancouver. So they didn't lose, but they were all guns blazing, and the differentials were not one-sided, just one goal separating the two teams. So anything can happen, you're right, absolutely. After seeing particularly the Chinese, the way, who could imagine that one of the top teams, even though England have come with a squad of fresh faces to a large extent, but they have the reputation of being not only Olympic champions in the modern era, I'm not talking of the original Olympics, but 1988 as the gold medal winners, and then in 86 at the World Cup in London at Willesden, runners-up to Australia. So they have always been a good team and semi-finalists the last time around at The Hague. So for China to have achieved this kind of feat is incredible. And we've had some glorious matches, but I was a little disappointed with the Malaysian show, losing 7-0 to the Netherlands. I think it's a very flattering result. The Malaysians, of course, never got anything out of that one, and they must be really wondering in that so-called pool of death what they will do against Germany and Pakistan.
I somehow feel that it's not only the battle between the two teams, but it's also a battle between the Asian style of hockey and the European style of hockey. That is where, there's still a margin which needs to be minimized.
Yes, absolutely. Let's have a look and see what are the next matches that are coming up in the 14th Men's Hockey World Cup as far as India is concerned. This is the last of their pool matches in Pool C, as you know. They are taking on Canada, and India's record against Canada has been rather good in terms of the World Cup or overall as well. And so India will be looking forward to getting their full points in this one. And then, of course, we've got the other match which will also come before that, which is the next Saturday. That is against Belgium and South Africa. So everything to look forward to, everything to play for. Remember, the winner of every pool, or the top team of every pool, qualifies to go straight to the quarterfinal. This is a new format, though this is the second time you had 16 teams take part in the World Cup. It was in 2002 also you had 16 teams, but at that time we had 2 pools only of 8 teams each. So everybody had to play 7 matches at the pool stage. Here it's entirely different. You've got that crossover which was not there earlier, but everything to look forward to. We, of course, will be seeing you with the India match against the Canadians on Saturday, the 8th of December. So till then, Munish, thanks a lot for your company,
It's
and
always a pleasure.
we look forward to India's next game.
Surely.